And that's the exact next thing that I want to talk to you about, is that so many fathers out there, they're just trying to make it through the day. I would almost like to call them, they're in a zombie mode. I think that's where the zombie movies come from. People just walking around, just mindlessly trying to make it through the day. There's no passion, no feeling of success or significance, the things that you teach and talk about. And as your area of expertise, I was just wondering, is there like a system that you use that you could share with us to help these zombies regain control of their lives and day by day live a more a life of success and significance?
Yeah, great question, Klaus. Great question. There's a couple of different things that we do. Years ago, I wrote a personal assessment to where you really got to start with yourself. You've got to look deep within yourself, and you've got to say, what is my ideals? What are the relationships that I want to be involved in? What is my career, and what does that mean? What does my faith have to do with my well-being? What is my relationships with my family? What are those values that I adhered to? Another assessment that I wrote is called, what do I want? And here's the truth of the matter is, most people don't know what they want. They just want bigger, better, shinier, faster. Just give me more, right? That's what it is. I'm going to get up every day, go out, work my hind end off, get as much money as I can, pay my bills, and hopefully get that new bass boat or get that new bow and arrow or golf clubs or whatever it is that you're striving for. But they ultimately really don't have a vision, and they don't really know what they want. And I asked this question on the assessment. If financially there were no limitations and geographically there were no limitations, what would you do with your life tomorrow? And most people go, man, I don't know. I don't know what I would do tomorrow. See, there's no thought, there's no forethought at all in how you want to live your life. My wife and I are very intentional. We're very proactive about how we live our life. We just celebrated 38 years together. We've been together a long time. And we've lived our life very intentional. Where do we want to live? What kind of money do we want to make? How many trips do we want to take? What are the things that we want to buy this year? How do we want to give our money away? How can we invest in our grandchildren? It's very, very intentional. Well, most people are just living their lives reactive, not proactive. Whatever emergency is for the day, that's what they're dealing with. Well, to me, that would be very miserable. It would be miserable to just live your life reactive. Just whatever comes at you, you deal with it today. That's not living a life to an abundance. That's not living a life of adventure. That's living a life that's drudgery. I can't imagine doing that in this zombie attitude that you're talking about. Well, what do you think you're conveying to your children? The same thing, right? They're going to model what you teach. And if you don't teach to have a spirit-led life, or you don't live in abundance, or they're not going to have it, right? What you do in moderation, they're going to do in excess, whatever that is. So if you really are living that zombie life, it's going to be 10x for your kids, because that's what you've modeled. I've watched our adult daughters, and they've kind of set up their home like our home, because that's what they were modeled. Certain things go in certain places. They have different rituals that we did at home. See, what are you teaching your sons? What are you teaching your daughters today? Because you're the model. That's how they're going to live their life. So listen, we've got to be very intentional and very careful, because it's incumbent on us as a dad to live that life, to teach your children how to live that abundant lifestyle. So man, you really got to dive into these personal assessments. You've got to really strategically think through how you're living your life. Klaus, I don't know about you, but I don't want to die with regrets. I don't want to lay there on my deathbed one day and go, man, I should have done this. I should have done that. I don't want to, you know what? I want to lay there and go, man, I did everything that I wanted to do. I accomplished the goals. I accomplished the task. I've lived a good life, and I have no regrets. It would be terrible to lay there one day and look back and say, I should have spent more time with my son. I should have spent more time with this. Nobody says I should have spent more time at the office. It's always family, right? That's who gets cheated the most. We've got to build these boundaries and say, I'm willing to do whatever I can do in this time frame. You got to prioritize your priorities. My good friend Rory Vaden wrote a book called Procrastinate on Purpose. And what he teaches in the book is there's only about 5 or 6 things that you really should be devoting your attention to. Everything else should be a no. But you've got to decide what's important for you. And once you do that, you'll have the bandwidth to spend on the things that are important because you've elected to annihilate the things that are not bringing value to you or your family, and you're going to excel at what you do because you focused on what's really important. So if you want to train your children up right, live a proactive life and not a reactive life.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I hope that a lot of people are going to follow your advice. I absolutely agree.